If your church is going to be revitalized, you're going to have to expend energy. I'm Chad Brooks. I'm a congregational developer in United Methodist Church, and I spend almost every single hour of my workday helping normal-sized churches find health and vitality. And this is a really big one, and it's one that I'm discovering a lot lately. I'm thinking about, I'm writing about, and I'm talking to churches about. If you actually want to get the writings that I send out regularly, there's an email link below to my email list. But let's talk about this whole thing with energy and church revitalization. Revitalization is going to take energy no matter what. There's a couple of things that happen. Number one, you're going to expend this energy, but you can expend it in a couple of different ways. The first way is the low energy, low impact way. And what that means is you really try to not do anything to upset the congregation or rock the boat too much. And you think about incremental change with incremental energy. And what that often means is you're expending slow burns of energy for a very long time. This leads to exhaustion. This leads to congregational confusion. This leads to pastor burnout. It's a very real thing. You're going to be expending the energy, but you choose to not make decisions and instead try to slowly tweak and change things because you don't want craziness to happen. The other way you burn energy is you realize we're going to burn a lot of energy in a short amount of time. The interesting thing is both of these energy burns typically take the same level of energy. One is focused and deliberate, and it's a sprint. The other one is not very focused. It's not very deliberate. It's actually just kind of fingers crossing that something is going to happen, and you're going to be burning a little bit of energy for a long time. But like I said, you're burning the same amount of energy. The issue is how long does it take to burn that energy? Another thing about energy is this. I've seen this time and time again. That's what I do for my day job, is you can have a fantastic local church, and you can have a fantastic pastor who is technically competent and absolutely ready to go. And you're missing one thing. And we've got this thing in our head that the missing issue is money. That if we simply had more money, we would not have the problem. And that is a fallacy. Dan Sullivan said one time, if you can solve the problem with money, then you actually don't have a problem. And I found this to 100% be true. I've seen it time and time again in my work. We can have a great pastor who knows what to do, is motivated, and is technically competent. And you can have a great congregation that is ready to rock and roll, ready to go and do big, huge things. And we can interject a significant amount of money, and it might happen. Like Dan Sullivan said, if money can solve the problem, then it isn't a problem. This is what I found is the biggest change agent. And it goes back to the energy piece that I shared with you earlier. The quicker a congregation can learn to have difficult conversations and to work through difficult conversations and can learn to deal with difficult conversations, and if they can do that over and over and over again, that is the biggest indicator that you're going to see revitalization in the local church. Now, this is still assuming a technically competent pastor and a ready-to-go congregation. But I've seen congregations at the very beginning, it really looks good on this equation. Pastor is great, church is great. We put money involved in the situation, and it goes really, really well until they get to a difficult conversation. And at that point in time, they don't know how to get through difficult conversations, and everything begins to actually get worse. And the money just is either sitting there, or the money sometimes is actually prolonging the need to have the difficult conversation. The biggest skill, the biggest step is for church leaders to know how to deal with the reality of the situation, to understand how to use data, to understand how to use those data to set goals, to work through those sorts of things. I talk a lot about data in my book, Is My Church Healthy? You can find a link to that in the description below. Is really just this awareness process that matters so much. And then is there the emotional maturity and the spiritual maturity amongst those leaders to identify what actually has to be talked about and to have that conversation without an emotional hijacking or a sentimental hijacking, to come to a conclusion about what needs to proceed forward. Every time you come to a fork in the road, every decision is pointing towards your trajectory, and you've got to learn how to make the difficult decisions, those high energy, short time decisions in order to continue going down that path of vitality. So if this is helpful, this is interesting, a couple things you can do. One, subscribe to the channel. Second, that email list link is down below. Subscribe to that and you'll get my writings on church health. But then let's just hang out in the comments and talk about what does it mean to understand the role of energy in church revitalization. So I'm Chad Brooks and I will see you back in the next video.